Hi, I'm John Hodoway with Nighthawk Custom Training Academy, and today, before we get started, I just wanted to give a couple of shout outs and talk about a couple things. First thing is, today the coffee that I am pairing with my cigar is it's Royal Cup, courtesy of Jim Collins. Jim sent this for a Mag 40 class that we've had, and I got to tell you, I'm shamelessly drinking it, really enjoying it. My whole family does. I don't know, I think this is like a food service coffee, but it's really good. This one is a French roast that I'm drinking, and so I'm really enjoying that. I'm pairing this, and again, Walt, just for you, this is a Fuente Sun-Grown Royal Salute. This has kind of turned into my everyday smoke. I think that you know, I've got to have a little time to smoke it, but I like the way that this smoke draws. I like the flavor of it. I do like the sun-grown wrapper. Been smoking a bunch of different things, but this is my everyday smoke. So, Walt, I know you like these as well, so this one's for you, buddy. Okay, you know, I've been watching a lot of things on Facebook and the internet, and I've actually had quite a few questions after the Mag 40 class that we had, and the questions all kind of go like this. John, what do you carry in your gun for ammunition? What do you carry in your car? What do you carry in your 1911? What do you carry? And then, once I tell people, the next question is, and I appreciate this, well, why this over that? And it could be the spear, it could be Cor-bon, it could be insert whatever question you'd like to go with that. What I'll share with you is this. I have been on and off for probably 30 years looking at ammunition for self-defense. I remember, not that I was shooting it, but when Super Vel came out with their round, and that was the game changer in a .357 Magnum. You know, I remember that, and that was a huge game changer. I'll also tell you that I have seen about and carried just about every self-defense ammunition out there. I'm probably not real proud to say this, but I actually remember buying some ammunition in the 80s, like 81, 82, somewhere in there, that was what they called exploding ammunition. And it had a hollow point that had been drilled out, that had black powder in it, a primer put in there, what looked like some kind of nail polish over the top of it, and you bought it in like a 10-round box with a foam liner in there because it was so deadly. And as you recall, that's what President Reagan was actually shot with in another caliber, and the round didn't actually go off. And the purpose was that other primer would go bang, set off the black powder, and it would deliver 100% of its energy. So I've looked at a variety of ammunition. I've heard a lot of stories. So let me just share with you what I think is fundamentally important in ammunition. But let's start off with one premise here, and the premise is this: that the ammunition today that you buy is so much better than the ammunition that was out there 30 years ago that, frankly, 30 years ago it was hard to find the good ammunition. Today, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's hard to find bad ammunition. Now, with that said, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean this: you need ammunition that will deliver 100% of its energy to the target, that will function in your gun reliably. Those are the two things that I'm looking for: not to over-penetrate and to function every time in your gun. Now, with that said, what do I carry? That's always the first question. Well, I can tell you this: I'm probably not loyal to any particular ammunition. Let me give you an example of 3 of them that I've gone through recently with my 9mm. If I were to start out and say this ammunition, which is the Remington 9mm 124 grain brass jacketed hollow point, is a round that I originally carried in my 9mm. And I settled on this just because it seemed to be reliable, it seemed to give good performance in a 45 ACP, and so I carried this in my 9mm. Then, on the recommendation of Masada Ayub, I began carrying this round, which is the Federal 9B Boy, Paul, Larry, Echo BPLE jacketed hollow point, 115 grain plus P hollow point. Now, I got this ammunition, which is listed law enforcement only. That is their sales policy. It's not a policy of the federal government, so it has no force of law to it. But I began carrying this. I was really happy with this ammunition. It seemed that it functioned well and everything. Now I have migrated and am in the process of moving over to the Hornady 9mm Critical Defense 115 grain. The only reason that I'm moving to the Hornady ammunition is my supply of the federal ammunition has seemed to have begun to dry up, and I just want to make sure that I can continue to get the ammunition as I periodically will shoot the ammunition that I'm carrying in my gun. So whatever I'm carrying for self-defense, I have to have an ongoing supply of it, because pretty much on a several times a year, I'll go to a match and just begin shooting with whatever I've carried in with me. So I'm going to run through that ammunition just to make sure it's functioning, to make sure that I'm being honest with myself, that I can in fact shoot what I'm carrying. The way I got onto this Hornady Critical Defense is I began using it in my 45s. Now, what I can tell you is that in the 45s, and your results may in fact vary, but I had read great things about this particular round, 185 grain bullet. I'd read great things about it, so did a little testing with it. Out at our range, we have an individual who comes out and he tests bullets and has a blog, and we'll put a link to the site on there, but he basically does something unique. He tests with mouse guns. So he's testing with small caliber, small handguns. And so we were out there one day, and I said, hey, let me try a couple of things. And so we shot some 45s, shot this particular round through 4 layers of denim, shot it into some water, and also ran it across a chrono. I got about 1,300 feet per second out of this round, out of a full-size 1911 on its chrono. Great results, full expansion in the water, so it didn't gum up in the denim, which is what this little red tip is supposed to do. So I've been really happy with the performance of this Hornady Critical Defense ammunition. Kind of pricey, but most of it is. So why do I carry this over something else? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure that there is one brand of ammunition that's not, but I have run across one truth, and I want to share this truth with you. There is a magic bullet. The only question is, how far down is it in your magazine? Or is it in your extra magazine that you have to reload to get to? See, that's the question that we're all faced with. Where is the magic bullet in the gunfight? I don't believe that it's the first one. Maybe it is. I don't believe it's a Hornady. I don't believe it's a Federal. I don't believe it's a Remington. I just simply believe that shot placement is very important, no matter what the caliber you have. I also believe that most ammunition out here designed for defense is really good. I also believe that caliber is important, but it's not all things. I'll tell you that I'm not a big fan of the 380. Even with souped up ammunition, I think you can do better with that. I think a 9 is the minimum self-defense caliber, but that's a point of debate. What I find that concerns me about the 380 is typically that the people who carry the 380 are the people who don't practice. And 380 small super compact handguns are a difficult proposition to shoot, especially with self-defense ammunition in them. So being able to deliver those great shots is very difficult in a 380 with self-defense ammunition. That's my problem with 380s. Now, I want to speak to something that's out here. I've recently seen quite a few humorous videos talking about calibers and 45 ACP and primitive calibers and guns and stuff. And I just want to share this with you. I think that as a firearms trainer, if my techniques are so weak that I can't teach people to shoot with a full-size, full-caliber handgun, if I can't teach them to operate controls on the guns, that all I'm able to teach is a polymer service pistol, well, that could be a problem. And I think the same thing is true is, although I don't carry a revolver and I'm not a big fan of them, I can clearly teach to those, and I don't discourage people from carrying those particular primitive weapons because that beats something else. I also think that for us to look at a particular caliber and say, well, this is a primitive caliber, I think that kind of beguiles the work that has went before us, and to realize that the 9mm has been around for a long time as well, and that when we look at these things, there's very for us to believe, as much as I am narcissistic and believe that the whole world revolves around me, I've found very few things that are new in the handgun world. I mean, I'm always fascinated with people who discover things. Oh, it's point shooting. Oh, it's a natural startle reflex. Oh, it's a step to the side and do this. You know what? Everything that's out there is something that's been around for a long time. They just used it with a bow and arrow. They used it with a sword. They used it with a dagger. They used it with a slingshot. Whatever those things are, those techniques have been developed and forged in the blood sports that were out there. So I guess I just kind of amuse at the people who really believe that they're at the center of the training universe. Thanks. Nighthawk Custom Training Academy, out.